Hello, welcome to a wet and windy Anfield for a huge game between Liverpool and Chelsea. Glen Johnson is alongside me, of course, played for both clubs. And it feels like an even bigger occasion because of Jurgen Klopp's announcement. We can see the emotional tunes over the PA. There's going to be some atmosphere here tonight, isn't there?
Yeah, there will be. We saw a bit of it last week, but I think with it being at home now, I think the emotion is going to be from the first minute, and it'll probably lead on to the field, and I'm sure we'll see an explosive performance.
I've been chatting to some of the fans outside and talking to them about their memories and the kind of legacy, some of the amazing players he signed. What are the things that you'll remember about Jurgen Klopp?
I think as a fan now, I think it's how passionate he is and how close he is with the lads. That's not easy to do. The way he's literally like the players' mate, and you can see that, and I think that's what leads into the performance that he gets out of the players. So I think that will be the side of it. But then in terms of the professional side, obviously the trophies, how he took the club from where it was to competing at the highest level for, the last 4 or 5 years, maybe more. You can't fault the man. Obviously it's a tough decision for him as well. But we've got to respect it and hope they can keep competing after him.
He called it when he came in because he said, give me time. He said he needed 3-4 years, and he did that. And he went with the Champions League and consistently reaching finals, and the Premier League. He won it all, FA Cup and League Cup as well. And I think you can understand in a way why he might want to leave this football club on a high, but it does feel like a bit of a team in transition, doesn't it? Some really young players coming in.
Yeah, there are. But I think, in terms of where he set the bar, I don't see them falling away. I know it's the player not at the moment.
What about if some of those players were to leave, like the Virgil van Dijks, and we don't know what's going to happen when their manager leaves.
Yeah, well, obviously next year will be a different story. Someone like Jurgen is the sort of character and the man that brings people in and brings the big players in that want to sign for him. So that's going to be tough. With players that need to renew, or maybe with only a year left, with someone not like Jurgen in the helm, then they might all of a sudden start looking over their shoulder and see what's in the future for them. But the club have done really great with their recruitment so far. So as long as they continue to do that, then hopefully the standard will stay the same.
How impressed have you been with that recruitment? Because it feels to me that he brought in the players exactly when they needed them. I think Alisson and Virgil van Dijk were big ones, Sadio Mane as well, Mo Salah, of course, how can you forget? Andy Robertson, and he took players like that and improved them so much, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many. And also not for record-breaking money all the time, so it's very smart. Very clever in terms of getting the right personnel as well. Because there's half of them that they signed that a lot of fans were sort of like thinking, oh, really? A bit of a surprise, including me. And then they all go on to surprise you, and you think, oh, now someone that was 40 million when you think it was expensive now sounds really cheap.
And maybe that's why he's losing some of his energy, because he has to be everything to everyone, whether it's recruitment, whether it's talking to the guys who keep the pitch nice, whether it's nutrition and the doctors and the media. He looks a little irritated with the media lately. I think that can get quite tiresome at times. Yeah, well,
we haven't done that job, but, we see him on a Saturday and that's about it. But, he'll be working more hours than anybody, super close to everybody within, like say, from groundsman to the catering staff to the coach driver to absolutely everyone that, helps the team perform. And that's being a top manager. And that takes time, effort, energy. So, like I say, if a man like Jurgen's saying he's mentally tired, then you have to take his word for it.
So do you feel that Liverpool will start to kind of fall away in his absence? Because you just wonder who on earth can fill those shoes. I mean, if it's someone like Xabi Alonso, he's still got such a lot to do. I think Steven Gerrard's not ready for this yet.
Yeah, I think Jurgen's setting the bar so high with the standard and the mannerism that he's taking the club forward. So it's going to take a huge character, someone with patience, I guess, to step in and have the confidence to sort of try and fill his shoes, because it's borderline impossible. Well, again, the news is such a shock. I haven't even really thought about who would want to come in or what.
Like a Jose Mourinho, a man you know well.
Yeah, but it's still obviously top managers. There's top managers around, but I just think the bar's been set so high, and we've seen it with Man United. They still haven't replaced Alex Ferguson. They've tried and they've tried and they've tried. So it's not easy to when these big managers only come around so often, and when they leave when the club's at a high. It's a tough job for someone to follow.
And you've got other managers starting to talk, like Pep Guardiola, about maybe the fact that whether his time might be coming to an end. We wonder whether we might see a huge overhaul in the Premier League. And do you see Liverpool sort of challenging consistently year after year, or is it just too much of an unknown now?
While Jurgen was here, absolutely. Yeah. But like I say, in terms of the players, a lot of the players are here because of Jurgen. And everyone's, in different situations in terms of the timing of their own contracts and, what they personally want. And for a lot of lads, like I say, Jurgen was a big factor of why they're here. So, for players that have got a year left or 18 months, they might all of a sudden start thinking, well, maybe I need to look onto their future and see what's best for them. But hopefully we can hold on to the best players, and hopefully we get a manager that can get the best out of them and keep the club performing at the top.
Of course, we've got to talk about the game. We get carried away speaking about Jurgen Klopp because the news is just so big. But it is a massive game. There's a huge rivalry between these two sides. And there have been draw after draw, 7 draws the last 7 games. Yeah. But do you think Liverpool are just going to be too strong for Chelsea? They've certainly been, they've been incredible here at Anfield this season.
They have. Like you say, they've blown teams away, sometimes even when they haven't been playing that good at home. But I just feel tonight with the emotions that's going to pour out of the stadium onto the pitch, Chelsea haven't been great at all. I expect Liverpool to do the job tonight, but let's hope it's not another draw. See some action and hopefully we'll have a good night. And
a quick word on your old side, Chelsea and Pochettino. He seems to be making slow and steady progress, but is it progress enough for you?
In certain performances, they've looked like they're on their way back, and then they look like they take a step back. So obviously he's got a big job on his hands, as we all know. A lot of transition over there as well. But he's a top manager. I think they've got some top players. I think they've still got a bit to do in the transfer market. But they've not been themselves in the league, which is, the position shows that. But these two clubs are going to meet each other a lot in the next few weeks, as we know, with a big final coming. So tonight will be a good test for both.